Good evening. Welcome to the Elyria City Council meeting for Monday, July 7, 2025. At this time, we'll take a moment of reflective silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Sawerka, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Sawerka. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please either put your phones in the silent mode or in the off position out of respect for the council meeting. Mr. Clerk, can I have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sierra.
Here.
Mr. Armstrong. Here. Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Tolet.
Here.
Mr. Lippian. Mrs. Sawerka.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
We have one absent, Mr. Lippian. I did get an email saying he's not going to turn till the latter part of the year.
Okay, we will address this council meeting at this time for his absence. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Brad.
Brad.
Mr.
Mr.
Armstrong.
Okay. yeah.
Public hearings.
We have one. You are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held on Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to consider the following. Notice is hereby given that copies of a proposed tax budget, estimated unencumbered balances, estimated revenues, and estimated expenditures of the City of Elyria, County of Lorraine, State of Ohio for the calendar fiscal year of 2026 will be on file beginning Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, in the offices of the City Finance Director and the Clerk of Council Office, and will be available for public inspection by contacting the finance or council offices pursuant to the requirement of law. The proposed tax budget indicates the estimated revenues, estimated encumbrances, balances, and estimated expenditures for the year 2026.
Are there any proponents? Finance Director Pulaski.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, last week we discussed this at strategic planning. So this is the 2026 tax budget. Every year we are required to prepare and submit this document to the Lorain County Budget Commission. And then this becomes our beginning certificate of estimated resources for the upcoming year. So upon your passage tonight, I will submit it to the Lorain County Budget Commission. And then moving forward, it will be amended as we get actual numbers in at the beginning of next year and moving forward. Thank you.
Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? I declare this public hearing has been held.
Sponsored by Strategic Planning. An ordinance adopting the tax budget of the City of Elyria, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-101. That's all the public hearings.
Can I get approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Remarks and reports from city officials. Mayor Brubaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I have two things for you tonight. Both of them are extremely exciting. This evening, visiting with us from Elyria Foundry, I have Summer Taylor, who is the Senior Human Resource Manager, Nate Godowski, who is the Director of Environmental Health and Safety, Mr. Brian Wright, who is the President of Elyria Foundry. If you three would like to come up. In 2025, they are celebrating their 120th anniversary here in the city of Elyria, and they employ over 200 employees here in the city that are one of our largest employers. And in honor of their 120th anniversary, we have created a proclamation, if you'll bear with me, Mr. President and members of council, as I read this, but it's a proclamation celebrating the legacy and contributions of Elyria Foundry. Whereas Elyria Foundry proudly traces its origins to the year 1905, when it began producing castings in Elyria, Ohio, igniting a legacy of industrial excellence that would have the machine tool, gas engine, and countless other industries with strength, precision, and ingenuity. And whereas the Hodge Foundry, founded in 1876 in Greenville, Pennsylvania, earned national acclaim for its quality castings in a powerful union of heritage and innovation, where they joined forces with the Elyria Foundry in 2008 to form the dynamic, resilient company we now celebrate, Elyria Foundry. And whereas the remarkable craft of metal casting at the heart of Elyria Foundry's work reaches back to the Middle Ages, when humanity first began to shape civilization through fire, metal, and imagination, ushering in progress that still powers our world today. And whereas for more than 120 years, Elyria Foundry has stood as a pillar of strength in the community and the industry, producing highly specialized gray and ductile iron castings from 50 to a staggering 200,000 pounds, powering innovation across the globe. And whereas with vision for the future, Elyria Foundry is investing in the next generation by partnering with the Lorain County Joint Vocational School, offering immersive, hands-on training, inspiring local high school students to discover rewarding careers in advanced manufacturing. And whereas the Foundry proudly employs 210 skilled and dedicated individuals and honors the core values that have forged its enduring success, which is pride, tradition, unity, communication, and mutual respect. Championing employee growth, delivering exceptional solutions to customers, and protecting the environment in the communities it calls home. Now, therefore, I, Kevin A. Brubaker, Honorable Mayor of the City of Elyria, do hereby recognize and celebrate Elyria Foundry for its historic contributions, enduring legacy, and ongoing commitment to excellence, innovation, and community development. Thank you, Elyria Foundry.
I'll be brief, but first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Brubaker and the City Council for allowing us to be here tonight and acknowledging Elyria Foundry with this proclamation. I could speak for the entire Elyria Foundry leadership team that we are really very proud to be able to tell our customers that we manufacture product here in Elyria, Ohio. We appreciate the partnership and the support we have from the city of Elyria, the fire, the police, the building department, to mention a few, and we are working hard to provide that same support right back to the community and the people within it. As I've shared with the mayor and his team on numerous occasions, we're in a very challenging industry, but we are focusing to position this company for generations to follow right here in Elyria. So thank you very much.
The second thing I have is also very exciting. As I've reported to you a couple times over the last month, tonight you'll be voting on the transfer of a property from the City of Elyria to the Community Investment Corp., which in turn will be sold to Mr. Steve McQuillan, who is here with us tonight. And the property is up here at West and 3rd Avenue, and he came to us about 6 weeks ago, and Mr. Craig and I have been working with him on the sale of the property and the future of that property. And in the back corner, we have a 3D model that Mr. McQuillan has shared with us. He plans on recreating or rebuilding the Reefy Mansion, which was here in Elyria from about 1902 till it was demolished in 1967. And at one time, it housed Mayor Reefy. If you look upstairs on the 3rd floor, I believe he was the mayor from 1900 to 1904. And if I have my history correct, he may have been the individual that purchased or was involved in the purchase of the land out on Lake Erie to build the water plant. But somewhere in 1967, it was also, or prior to that, it was also our first public library. And somewhere in 1967, it was tore down for the expansion of one of our churches. But he has a great idea, a great thought process to rebuild that mansion to today's standards. And I'd like to introduce Mr. McQuillan, and he'll share a few minutes with you on his plan and his timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brubaker.
Welcome.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Steve McQuillan. I live at 150 East Main Street in Hayesville, Ohio. It's about 45, 50 minutes south of here in Ashland County. Yes, I appreciate working with the city, and what I'm proposing to do is to build a new 4-suite apartment building on that site that he said 225 or West Avenue, which is the northwest corner of 3rd Street. It's also right across from the West by the River Historic District too. So it's a wonderful lot. And what I'd like to do is to recall the form of the old Elyria Library, which I'm one of the few people maybe in the room that's old enough to remember now. I got to think about that because that was a wonderful building, one of my first memories as a child, and then also getting me involved in historic preservation too, because I work as a preservation consultant. And I, as a young teenager, argued to save the building, but it was end up being torn down anyway. My plan is for something that's practical and that I think will be beautiful, that will be good for that particular site. It's just a stone's throw away from the original site, which was on 3rd Street, just south of the Methodist Church. So, and part of the inspiration for this has come from my many rehabilitation projects where it's so complicated. And like on a project I'm working on now for the last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to get the workers to get back and do it. There's just a lot of complications with renovating buildings and so on. And part of this inspiration was also from my alma mater, Oberlin College, where I did go to school and got active in preservation and decided to go into study that. Part of that was helping to save some of those buildings or advocate for their preservation. And then also, I talked with Oberlin more recently about some of their new student housing, and it does seem like this is a popular concept, to build nice, elegant apartment buildings that have character to them and yet can attract a good rent. So I'm hopeful that this can open up that market for rentals in downtown Elyria. I will say this, I have a history of buying and rehabilitating historic buildings. I have one building near downtown Mansfield and that I've rented out, and it's 2 suites there that it was a building from the 1860s that I turned into loft-type apartments. And I have 3 suites in Hayesville in a building from the 1880s and 2 suites that I'm still working on in Mansfield near Oak Hill Cottage, where their historical society is. And then previous to that, which you're welcome to go by and you look at or just look up, is I lived in and renovated a building in Westlake, 31156 Detroit Road from the 1830s. And that was a very interesting project, but it took a long time to do. And then next door to it, I built and sold a new house there at 31232 Detroit. So they're kind of online if you want to look and see any of that too. And then also my main building where my residence and offices are, the Vermillion Institute, dates from 1845. And at one time it was a college, and then later an academy, and then later the high school, and then abandoned for 50, 60 years. And I rehabilitated that, and we had to tear off and reconstruct a lot of the buildings. So that was, and it makes me think this is how the proportion should be, you know, the cornices and other details like that. So, and again, the Elyria Library is a, you know, kind of appealing building from that interesting era. And I was thinking about it and dwelling on it and considering how some of those spaces could make nice interiors. You know, the part of that is I kind of thought as a younger person that front gable really attracted me, like the prow of a ship with the semi-octagonal bay window. And I lived for a house in 20 years in Elyria that was similar to that. I had my office, a little bay window like that, so it's interesting. But I think this is a practical plan that I have the money to build it with. I don't need any loans. We might be thinking about trying to make it into condos to sell, but I'm perfectly prepared to have it as market rate rentals and operate it that way and see how that goes. I mean, I've had that experience of doing the rentals, and I've also invested my money in projects. Beyond that, and I'll just take another minute or so too, it's great to be back here in Elyria because I think it was formative for my experience. My first job out of college was briefly working for the Planning Commission about 50 years ago when they were having debate about whether to tear down this building or not. And I advocated with the then mayor at the time, and we got it listed on the National Register. We got some funding to help do it. And then later I kept arguing for years that they should save it, and through a few different mayors and everything like that. And of course, he did a wonderful job. And I do believe in historic preservation. But I'm also thinking, too, that in some of these areas where you have vacant pieces of property, that maybe something significant can go into them, and that perhaps a project like this might open the door to other projects that could maybe even in the future gain state subsidies. Our neighboring state of West Virginia offers their historic preservation tax credit for owners that reconstruct lost buildings or fill a vacant lot in a neighborhood. And my last 5 or 6 projects that I've done have used rehabilitation credits. I know this is not eligible at this time, but I'm hoping, hey, maybe if it becomes a successful example that we're all happy with, that maybe this can be something that the state might find is worth including in that subsidy. So, but I'm not banking on it for this project at all. So I think this will be, to me, a fun, exciting project that I feel can be done pretty quickly, within 6 months or so. The architect's working on the final plans now. We've got some computer-generated images. There's a 3D model in the back, although we're refining and adding a few more details to that. And then finally, what I'd just like to say is, and I'll leave some of these behind the back of the room, if you want to learn more about me and some of the work I've done, I have a open house and party. Anyone's welcome. There's no RSVP this Saturday. So, and a lot of people from the area come and see that. So, so it's great to have this chance. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything, but I look forward to working with the mayor and the downtown committee and getting something really nice on that corner then.
Well, I can tell you, it sounds like this is a passion project for you.
Yes.
We thank you for reinvesting back into the city and inspired by what you're going to present to the city in that. So we appreciate you coming up here and sharing your vision of what you're hoping to build here in the near future with that. So does anybody else want to make a comment?
All right.
I'll go to Mr. Tolet, then Ms. Sawerka.
Thank you through you. Thank you for your commitment to the
right,
community. It's enormous. This is exactly the idea we need, and it's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'd like to see it.
I just want to say that I am one of those people that lived through when you fought for the preservation of this beautiful opera house,
All right.
turning it into the city hall. And also, you were modest in not bringing up that you also were instrumental in the Elyria High School
right.
rebuild.
Yeah.
And I think that the county commissioners also consulted with you with the renovations over at our beautiful Justice Center. So thank you so much
Oh,
for your
yeah, you're welcome.
dedication to Elyria and to this project.
Right, yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Schneider, then Ms. Davis.
Through you, Mr. President, thank you again for your investment and interest in the community. Fellow council members, I was able to see the 3D model and the plan at the CIC meeting. It's phenomenal, so make sure you guys go over and take a look at it. It's great.
Right.
Ms. Davis?
Through you. Thank you.
Sure.
So how many apartments or you're looking to
All right.
present?
I'm looking at 4 apartments now, and it would be split, and the first floor would be 2 apartments that might include the basement. I'm hoping, that we can get that done. I'd like this building to be under 5,000 square feet, so it gets counted as a light light frame construction structure that isn't subject to as many regulations as a much bigger building. And then there would be 2 units on the second floor. There are some floor plans there too. And then the third floor would be opened up into one of the second floor units with the really grand spaces like the tower and others. But that tower carries down, we want to make that a round form down through all the floors. So, and by the way, too, I've also got estimates from Cleveland Quarries on the sandstone to do that work. I think that's what would really set that off to be really nice that way, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. McClellan, can you had shared with me what your investment is in that. Would you share with council?
Oh, yeah. Well, all right, let's say that the building is around 35 to 100 to 5,000 square feet, so it will be well over $1 million just in regular construction costs. Now, what I'd like to do is I manage my own projects for better or worse, but I think that what I'd like to do is handle some of the various trades to save on the money, but it's going to be something in that range, 1.2 maybe to 1.5 million. I know that sounds like a high number, especially for people like me who've been around for a while, but I just don't see how we can get around it with those details and other things like that. Plus, I've looked at other projects that are similar, like what Oberlin College has done for some of their student housing, and they're all in that kind of range. So I think it'll be a reasonable effort to do that way. And of course, if there were subsidies on these, and by the way, too, I'm also thinking about, as I have my other projects, applying for property tax abatement if that's available. So we'll see, but that's not going to be a deciding factor or anything. And I feel that it can generate some good rents that will justify that investment, so.
Well, very good. We look forward to working with you and seeing what this vision looks like.
All right,
Thank you very
thanks, and
much.
I'll leave these in the back, and I'll leave the model there, too.
Very good. Anything more, Mayor? Any questions for the mayor? Safety Service Director Pianowski.
Thank you. No report this evening, Mr. President.
Any questions for the Safety Service Director, Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. President. Director, did you get a chance to go down the 200 section of 13th Street with the lead service repairs?
I did.
It's looking pretty rough down there. I don't know if they're done, or is that going to be part of the 1 to 2 months, part of the
I
West
believe,
Ave?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Part of the West Ave completion also with everything?
Yeah, right now, the contractor has said 1 to 2 months. I think the idea is they're going to do as much potholing as possible to determine if the pipes are lead or not, and then come back and do to replant the grass. But I've asked them to go ahead and do some remedial work in the interim, maybe before they get to planting the grass, but not make the dirt look so rough, if you will, and so some type of intermediary step. But that is the time frame that they're working with currently.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Finance Director Plesky?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sure everybody read the article last week about the special audit and the finding for recovery. Just to let you know, we received payment in full from former Mayor Frank Whitfield for that finding for recovery. It was left in the Elyria Public Utilities drop box over the weekend. So I forwarded that information to the State Auditor's Office, so hopefully that will now be a closed matter. So.
Okay, any other questions for the Finance Director? Very good. Law Director Deary?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Any questions for the Law Director? Nope. Okay, very good. Elyria Police Department, Chief Walsh. Any questions for the Chief? Nope. Elyria Fire Department, Assistant Chief Gall. Very good. Chief Building Official, Mr. Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. Typically, I try to give an update every 6 months. Unfortunately, I was off last couple weeks on vacation. A quick update, the new hotel on Travelers Lane is in the framing phase. That project is moving along without a hitch. That is good news. The Seniors Loft project on Bond Street, they have successfully installed all the footings. They have successfully installed all the foundations and are now working on the underground plumbing, so that project is also going along quite well. The 901 Garden Street, the simulation and training buildings, those projects will be starting soon. All permits have been approved and issued, so that should be coming up and moving forward. The update for 317 Fuller demo, the ownership has decided to demolish that on their own, and they are working towards compliance. I am pleasantly surprised to see that that is moving forward and debris is being removed. 408 Washington, that home that was slated for demolition, new owners have purchased it and are fixing the structure systematically. They're taking care of the large projects and the major concerns. So that one is also moving forward. Quick update on new homes. Halfway through the year, we are now up to about 147 new homes, where last year we were in the realm of 160, 170. We have seen a little bit of a downtick. Things have slowed down economy. Commercial is down, I'd say about 40 in the range. Last year we were up. We had a lot of small commercial projects. We've seen a flip. It goes in waves. Other than that, our housing inspector, Mr. Coates, is working out quite well, and he is fitting in with the team, and I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Farkas, Mr. Oswald, and then Ms. Sawerka?
I have two, and I'll just let them roll at one time. First, the high cost of demolition for Cedar Street, that will be the one. So you can explain why it's that costly. And do you have an update on Friendly's, the old Friendly's ice cream store there? I know they stopped work, and so I didn't know what point they were at as far as that. Thank you.
Mr. Farkas, before you reply, Safety Service Director.
Yeah, just if we could, please, through you, Mr. President, the Cedar Street is an agenda item this evening. Maybe we could discuss it and the details of it when it comes up.
Okay.
Please.
Very good.
Thank you. I was going to mention that, but
Okay.
I can answer the Friendlies. The Friendlies project, we were in contact with the ownership. They had submitted permits, then fell off the grid. They have come back and done some additional work. We're waiting for some additional permits to be issued. They have not been in contact with us. I don't know what the status is. We have reached out, but they have not responded.
Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Sawerka?
Through you. I was going to ask about Cedar Street, but I'll wait. 260 South Logan, that's on the Planning Commission agenda, right, vacating right away. Is that the property that's was working on several permits that they didn't have, and is that the corner of Broad and South Logan, or is that a different property?
Did you say 260 South?
260 South Logan, it says South Abbey Road Plaza, LLC.
That is actually Mr. Yost's property. He is looking to consolidate and split some of the parcels. I think 260 is their office address.
It's not the corner property that had various complaints on it?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you.
Law Director Derry?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, just briefly. That matter actually is, I will call it a cleanup, but it's a little more complicated than that. The parcels at issue are located, it is right-of-way. It is actually located, I will say, in front of the Marcos on South Abbey, and also a little bit to the north in front of the plaza that has the #1 kitchen, et cetera. So it is right-of-way, but it is not what one would typically consider traditional right-of-way, where you're talking, you know, curb lawn, et cetera. You'll see what I mean when you see the map. It's something that the city planner, Mr. Schoenig, Mr. Yost, Mr. Farkas, and my office have been untangling the last several weeks. And we're hoping that by getting it through Planning Commission and then ultimately to council, we'll be able to settle it once and for all. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Farkas? Thank you, Mr. Farkas. Superintendent of Wastewater, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. President, through you. I just wanted to give a brief departmental update, and then also an explanation on number 15 that I thankfully had added to the agenda. As far as the plant, the current projects going on right now are our aeration basin upgrade. That is a consent decree project that will increase the max capacity from 30 million gallons to 40 million gallons a day. It's a 60% design is completed, and the PTI was submitted to the Ohio EPA. So that's something that we're very excited about. It's a major improvement for the biological processes, and I will continue to update you as that moves forward. Next is the septic program that we ran a pilot on 3 months ago. It's been very successful. We've taken in 282 loads and generated $62,000 in revenue in the past 3 months. And I'd say a majority of that has been in the past 2 months because we started out slow just to make sure that we could handle everything well and get the administrative part of it moving smoothly. So we're excited about that, and like I said, we're still keeping an eye on the plant, but it's handled it very well. The Ohio EPA passed new legislation in December. So currently, or before, we were wastewater treatment plants and wastewater operators. That is no longer the terminology they use anymore. It is water reclamation facilities and water reclamation officers. It has more of a, I'd say, a positive connotation to it. So that is something that we will slowly start to adapt. We don't want to go and change everything right away, but as we're even getting our own documents from the EPA, that is the new name that they've given us. So I didn't want you guys to see that and be like, what is water reclamation? So I figured I would tell you guys beforehand. And speaking of the rules, beginning July 1st, I actually did apply for my Class 4. I have been accepted, and I have been approved to submit. I have 2 years to do that, and in the meantime, I also got an exemption. So July 1st, I'm the operator of record, so we no longer need our contract operators, and it's going well. So I wanted to give you that update as well.
Well, congratulations to you on both levels. Any questions for Superintendent? Ms. Sawerka.
Thank you, through you. Congratulations. I know that takes a lot of effort, and it's really great. Just one quick question. How many, do you have a dedicated crew on catch basin repairs? I had a complaint from a resident that a catch basin has had a cone on it for quite a long time. So I just wondered, is that just sort of when you have time to fix them, or do you have a dedicated crew for them?
Through you, yes, Ms. Worka, there is a dedicated crew, but they also do get pulled to do other projects as well. I would say during the summertime, they're about on it 90% of the time. But if there are other projects, especially with our consent decree on the RDI work that's been going on in Overbrook and the Poplar areas, they have gotten pulled a little bit for that. But I'll gladly take the address for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President. So tell me if I'm right or wrong. I thought somebody told me if there's a barrel, it gets done first. If there's a cone, it gets done second. Is that correct?
I have not heard that, but...
So the barrel was always the bad one first. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Story, if I could, in regards to these catch basins, are all the repairs done with concrete as far as the finished product up and around the basin when they cut that out? I've seen a couple of them where they're asphalt up around those. I don't know if you can speak to that or not, or fall back with that, if you need to look into that, but I've seen a couple where they repaired them with asphalt.
Through you, I can speak to that. I spoke with Ms. Stefik on the collections and asked her about that, and she had stated that underneath the asphalt, yes, it is concreted. Why they don't concrete all the way to the top is logistical. It's cheaper and easier with a crew of 2 to be able to go in an asphalt. They can do, I think, roughly have 10 of them done and then go and just asphalt 10 of them at the same time, because if not, we would have the cones and the barrels there for a significant amount of time before they were able to come in and concrete 10 to 15 or 20 of them in a row. And if you don't do that many, it's a short load and you have to pay a lot more for the concrete.
Yeah, I was just wondering, with reference to the longevity of that. If you're constantly doing asphalt and that erosion away over time, if it's not more of a stability issue, I'm just asking, it's just, if you guys have a method to that, I'm just inquiring about it, that's all.
Into that, I will find out. And
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
real quick, I wanted to also explain item 15 that was added. This is for our grit classifier that it broke, which separates the heavy organics when they come into the plant and it dewaters them. It's a very important part of the process, and without it, all those extra organics would get loaded into our tanks, and it would not be good downstream. The skilled maintenance team was able to get it up and running temporarily. We did speak with a vendor who was able to match our existing equipment because the current manufacturer went out of business. And there were aftermarket parts, but they are almost as much as a new unit. The reason that I asked for this to hopefully be approved tonight was because of the long lead time. These aren't sitting on the shelf. It's an 8 to 12-week lead time. And then once we approve the design, it is a 36-week lead time for delivery. They are hand custom made in California. So it was roughly a 48 to 52-week lead time. So I was hoping to get this passed tonight so that I wouldn't have to go to committee in the next council meeting and add an additional month to 2 onto that while we have this temporarily fixed. And money is appropriated for this as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you. President's referrals and reminders. Oh, I'm sorry. City Engineer, Mr. Schneider. You're hiding over there. My apologies, Mr. Schneider. You thought you were going to get away.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to update council on Monday. We'll be closing Gulf Road from Vista Court to Hilliard for the new water main to be replaced out there. It'll be closed for roughly 3 months is what we're anticipating. So that does start Monday. We do have message boards out right now that should state that. Unless the weather changes or something else happens, that's the plan as of right now.
So what's the rerouting that you'll do?
Currently we have it set up so that if you're going southbound, the intent is to move Gulf Road traffic over to Burns Road, over to Abbey Road. Northbound will be diverted at Hilliard. They will maintain the turn lane there from Gulf Road onto Hilliard to go over to Abbey Road. So that will be the detour route.
Mr. Tolet.
Through you, several of the residents have seen those, of Burns Road, have seen those signs already, and they're very concerned about potential heavy equipment going on Burns Road with the safety issues that we know exist. The traffic, I would ask if police could assist in enforcement on Burns through this project. It'd be very, very beneficial. I think you've done a great job in enforcement on Burns anyway, but during this project, there's a lot of concern about the residents. A request was made if we could deter the Burns traffic to 254. I said, that's out of our city. We can't deter our traffic to another city, but if we could work with the police department on the Burns Road issue, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, in regards to the heavy truck traffic, there should not be heavy truck traffic on Burns Road. Gulf Road is a no truck route. The only heavy trucks that should be on that road are essentially from wastewater that will have to exit that way. But
wouldn't they be coming off Abbey down Burns if they're being?
They should be taking 57 or Abbey Road to 57 to Gulf to their construction zone.
Okay.
But, and we will do our best to monitor the contractor out there, but sometimes the drivers don't know all which ways to go sometimes. So, but we'll do our best to make sure they don't head north down Gulf Road that way.
Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, Mr. Snyder, any idea when the residential resurfacing will begin?
We were hoping to start the bidding process this week. The That's the plan. I do not unfortunately have the update as far as the timeline on that one. I do know that the Ohio Public Works projects have all been bid out. They were opened last week, and we did get good numbers on that, just so council's aware. Those 5 projects have been opened, and essentially we're in the award process right now. We should be finalizing the street resurfacing list as far as the projects, so we're hoping to get it started this week as far as bidding.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the engineer, Ms. Soroka?
Thank you, through you. John, what are the parameters of the water line? Begins and ends, is that
From Vista Court to Hilliard?
Vista Court to Hilliard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shader. I think that's everybody now. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, community development. Item number 2, community development. Item number 3, community development and finance. Item number 4, community development and finance. Item number 5, community development and finance. Item number 6, community development and finance. Item number 7, without a benefit of a committee report. Item number 8 to finance. Item number 9 to finance. Item number 10 to the Finance. Item number 11, Finance, Utilities and Finance Committee. Item number 12, Utilities and Finance Committee. Item number 13, Utility and Finance Committees. Item number 14, Utilities and Finance Committees. Item number 15, Utilities and Finance Committees. Items 16 to 20 received and placed on file at the clerk's office. Item number 6 is the one that we're going to be doing here tonight that was referred without the benefit of committee report, which I think was item number 15, I believe, or number 14?
14 and 15.
14 and 15 without a benefit of committee report. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
We have 2. Shaylon Rogers, 384 Olive Street. Subject is introduction to Charles Wishes.
Please, yep. Welcome. Please come up, state your name and address for the record. I don't think the microphone's on. We'll hold off. We'll get that set for you.
Oh, thank you. Is that a little better? I apologize.
You pull the microphone down right in front of you there if you can. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mayor Brubaker and council members. I appreciate you.
If you could please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Shallon Rogers, and my address is 384 Olive Street.
Very good.
I'm the executive director of Charlie's Wishes for Veterans. We're a nonprofit born not only from a mission of service, but from a very special personal promise. This organization is named after 2 incredible men. My father, who served in the United States Air Force, and my uncle, who was an Army Ranger and completed 3 tours of Vietnam. They were both Charlies. They were strong, they were quiet heroes who carried the weight of their service with pride, but also with pain. And like so many veterans, they didn't ask for much, just respect and to be remembered. So I made them a promise that their legacy would live on by honoring those like them. That promise became Charlie's Wishes for Veterans. Our mission is to grant wishes to veterans during their transition into their retirement years. Wishes that are often small in cost, but huge in meaning, whether it's reconnecting with an old loved one, attending a family event, or just maybe fixing an issue at their home that would bring them better peace. We make those moments happen. But this need is far greater than many people realize. According to the United States Census Bureau, over 50% of veterans in the United States are over the age of 65. That's more than 9 million aging heroes, many of them facing illness or living far from their family, but too many who pass without their voices being heard or their stories being told. This is exactly what we do, and we do it with heart. In just a few short months of starting Charlie's, we have completed almost a dozen wishes. And the wishes have ranged from replacing a bathroom fixture, a toilet, a sink, putting grab bars up, completing a deck for a veteran, doing roofing, landscaping. This is where everybody comes into play. A single wish can cost anywhere between $100 to maybe a couple of $1,000. It depends on what the wish may be. But we rely entirely on community support. So we're looking for any donations to help fund more wishes. Local businesses willing to sponsor or adopt a wish, and referrals. If you know a veteran, if you yourself are a veteran, we would be honored to help in any way that we can. And you yourself, if you may not be a veteran, or maybe we all know a veteran who might be a little proud, as my dad and my uncle were, then you can submit a wish on their behalf. Because this isn't just about how veterans live. It's about how they're remembered, and it's about how we thank them. So I'll close by saying this. Every wish we grant is in honor of the two men who inspired not only me, but many others. And I know that they are proud that their names are now wrapped around something that gives light, love, and dignity to every veteran just like them. So I want to thank you so much from the very bottom of my heart for being a part of this and allowing me to speak. I feel together we are giving our heroes the support they deserve, because every hero deserves a wish. And I'm open for questions if you have any. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, very good. We appreciate you coming up and talking about Charlie's Wishes. I think it's just incredible what you're doing here, and the memory of everybody that you mentioned before, and those who are, in the past, and those who are present now, and those in the future, because they're all going to need our help. So we appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you so much.
Does anybody have any questions for the group? Well, very good. If you could, please, Mr. Armstrong, excuse me.
Through you, President, I just want to also say thank you for coming out. I just met them recently at the farmer's market, and this is great information. Anybody can use it, so I figured why not give them a chance to speak.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming out.
I thank you all very much. And I am originally from Elyria. We lived right behind the hospital. The hospital actually bought our house to turn it into the parking lot. I came back and I said, I definitely want to make a difference. Elyria made a huge difference to me growing up. McKinley Elementary, that was my school. I'll never forget all my teachers. They were amazing. So just being able to come back and be a part of this amazing city, it's really been so amazing. And I appreciate you all, and thank you.
Very good. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Jason Bendick, 126 Briar Lake Drive, subject to City Ordinance 311.06, titled Game in the Street.
Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
A little bit taller here, so sorry about that. Jason Bendick, 126 Briar Lake Drive, obviously the great city of Elyria. Also be praying for you guys with Charlie's Wishes. That sounds phenomenal. Well, good evening, fellow neighbors, moms, dads, friends, colleagues, obviously council members, and Mayor Brubaker. As I said, Jason Bendick. I'm Christian, 43 years old. Lived in Elyria most of my life, owned 3 different homes in Elyria, along with my awesome parents. Current member, church board member, member of my church, principal of Open Door Christian Schools, where we serve almost 900 kids this year. Husband to a beautiful wife, happy life, we all know that. Father to 5 athletic and gifted children. Just here tonight to respectfully request the revision of City Ordinance 311.06, which currently, not sure if many of you are aware or not, prohibits kids from playing games in the street, specifically cul-de-sacs. So the issue at hand was brought to my attention, I'll say, by a challenging neighbor that I've been dealing with who lives in the same cul-de-sac. And after a few altercations of intense fellowship, I will say, over my basketball hoop, he researched an 80-year-old ordinance in an attempt to stop my kids from playing in the cul-de-sac. The ordinance, again, 311.06, titled Game in the Street, states, and I quote, "No person shall fly a kite or play any game of ball or coitus," I believe that's how you say it, I had to look that one up, "or other game on any street unless the same shall have been set aside for playground purposes." And again, that's Ordinance 3562, which was passed October 15th, 1945. As it stands, this ordinance treats all streets equally, including cul-de-sacs, which, as we all know, are vastly different from the main roads and through streets. I live in, obviously, Briar Lake neighborhood over by LCC. Many of you know that area well. The cul-de-sacs over there are very, very quiet, low traffic areas where children naturally ride their bikes. My kids play wiffle ball, kickball, roller skating, etc. And simply put, my kids are being kids. As you guys know, they're engaging in those healthy outdoor play environments. And think about this. I could potentially, as their parent, be cited by the Elyria Police, and they are fantastic, for having my children play a game in the street, specifically the cul-de-sac. Now, I will also preface by saying my kids are not obstructing traffic. They are not throwing rocks. They are not being demeaning in any single way. Matter of fact, the irony in the whole situation is I've tried to move the basketball hoop as far away from my neighbors as possible. And so just in order for this, the case for change, I think most of you would agree, at least I hope would, that this is unreasonable. And I think as a result, I'm asking for this ordinance to be amended to exclude cul-de-sacs or allow neighborhood petitions for specific exemptions. And here's why this matters. Cul-de-sacs are designed, as I mentioned before, for low traffic. They're safer. They have slower speed limits and encourage community engagement and involvement. As we all know, in today's world with screens, our kids need unstructured outdoor play more than ever for physical health, social development, and the mental well-being. And I know this being a principal and administrator for over 23 years myself. Parents, supervision, and safety are obviously vital to these areas. And I'm personally not asking for any lawlessness, just a space for my kids to be in an area where they're safe and responsible while parents can trust their kids are in these safe areas. I believe, I haven't done all the research on this, but I believe other cities have similar carve-outs for this, recognizing the uniqueness of cul-de-sacs and community-friendly play spaces, which, as I mentioned before, improve safe social interaction with kids and communities. And they're a preferred gathering spot. As I mentioned, I have 5 kids, and when each one of them has a friend and my kids have got to know them, we have a party at the Bendick House. And they naturally gravitate to my area, which is a blessing. And so the last thing would be there's the human element of it, this at the heart of it, with the desire for not only my kids, but all the Elyria's children to grow up with the flexibility, the freedom, and the joy and neighborhood connections, which is the values that obviously we all want to foster. So just in closing, I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Oswald. He's been very receptive to my feedback, constantly in contact with me. He's also well-versed in this situation I've spoke to him about. And I just respectfully ask that you guys consider amending the ordinance 311.06 to exclude the cul-de-sacs or to allow the neighborhood-based exemptions. I think, in all fairness, this is a simple common sense adjustment that allows for responsible outdoor play. And furthermore, this small change would make a big difference in the lives of families who want to move into our community that promotes active habits for kids to thrive in. So I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your leadership. I know the job you guys have is very, very tough. And thank you for making commitment to Elyria, making a better place for families to thrive. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'd be open to take those as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bendick. I'll make a comment, or we'll go through the process of the referral process, but, we want to make sure we gather all the information that you're referring to, is that ordinance, and it'll get ultimately referred to a committee, and then we'll have that discussion. We'll notify you from that standpoint. Mr. Oswald, if you want to make a quick comment.
Through you, Mr. President. So we've been going through this issue for quite a while. We've been trying to work through it and to no end. And I think they come up with a good solution as far as maybe rewriting an ordinance. So I will be putting in the referral so that we can get this on the table, which I believe will be in the Utilities Committee. And we'll discuss this and we'll see if we can figure out a solution with a new and updated ordinance. And I'm sure if you would like to be in that room when we're talking about that, you're more than welcome. So thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Very good. Thank you. Law Director Derry.
Thank you. Just briefly, through you, Mr. President. I did have the chance to briefly talk to Mr. Bendick about a week ago. I did suggest that he bring this to council. He did mention that he has also spoken to Councilman Oswald. I would like to hear some input from the Elyria Police Department, obviously, as to their thoughts. But I'm fairly confident that we have several other pieces of legislation on the books that would adequately address other, situations that would arise, the types of which Mr. Bendick has described to you all, such as rowdiness or dangers of individuals playing in risking risky behavior in traffic and that sort of thing, that I believe that the committee and then ultimately council could make a determination as to whether an amendment would be warranted or even if this law is even itself necessary, or if we have other laws that will adequately take care of this type of situation.
Yep. So I think once we get everything collectively together, then we'll make the referral and bring it to the committee. So again, thank you for coming up. We'll notify you when that meeting will be so that you're in attendance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good.
That's all the petitions and rouses from the lobby?
Reports of standing and special committees.
There are none.
Resolutions first reading.
Sponsored by Finance, a resolution approving a list submitted by the Safety Service Director for the collection of delinquent inactive utility accounts and directing the Clerk of Council to certify said accounts to Lorraine County Auditor.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2025-29. Sponsored by Finance, a resolution finding that the city has unfit for municipal use certain city property.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2025-30. Sponsored by Finance, a resolution finding that the city has unfit for municipal use certain city property.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2025-31. That's all resolutions first reading?
Resolution second reading.
There are none.
Resolution's third reading.
There are none.
Ordinance is first reading.
Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director of the City of Elyria to dispose of city property that is unfit for municipal use.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-102. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director of the City of Elyria to dispose of city property that is unfit for municipal use.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-103.
Mr. President.
Schneider.
On agenda item number 7, I will be recusing myself due to a business conflict of interest, and Mrs. Mitchell will handle the motion on behalf of community development.
Very good. Thank you.
Sponsored by Community Development. An ordinance accepting the dedication of certain lands, easements, and rights-of-way for the installation of streets and utilities as provided for the final plat of Ridgewater Subdivision Phase 7.
Ms. Mitchell.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed on its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second. Second by Mr. Callahan. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the
Abstain.
passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Abstain.
One exception. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-104. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2025-37, known as the 2025 Permanent Appropriations Ordinance, to change funds in various accounts.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-105. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2025-96, an ordinance authorizing updated wages for certain non-bargaining Chapter 165 positions to replace existing Exhibit A with the new Exhibit A and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading without without the benefit of a committee report, and this will be with suspension and emergency, please.
So the motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Question? I have a question.
Second on that, we have any discussion? Ms. Sawerka.
Thank you. Is this clearing up something from before? Is this a new change?
Director Derry.
Through you, Mr. President, shortly after the passage of 2025-96, Finance Department realized that there were several positions that were left out of the exhibit that should have been a part of that exhibit. Therefore, the request is to amend the exhibit to include those that should have been there to begin with.
Mr. Callahan.
Through you, Mr. President. That being said, from the law director, I would recuse myself from this vote.
Okay.
Call for the question.
Call for the question.
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Mr. President, we're going to have a roll call vote.
Roll call vote on the suspension, so once we're ready with that.
On the suspension, Mr. Callahan.
Recusing myself, so I will abstain.
Mr. Sarah.
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Mr. Oswald.
Aye.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Tolet.
Aye.
Mrs. Sawerka. Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
We have 8 ayes.
Suspension passes.
On the emergency, Mr. Callahan.
Recusing myself, so I will abstain.
Mr. Sarah.
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Mr. Oswald.
Aye.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Tolet.
Aye.
Mrs. Sawerka. Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Through you, Mr. President, the emergency clause fails, therefore this, assuming passes, would go into effect in 30 days.
Very good.
On the passage, do we?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Callahan.
Recusing myself, so I will abstain.
Mr. Sarah.
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Mr. Oswald.
Aye.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Tolet.
Aye.
Mrs. Sawerka. Mrs. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Schneider.
Aye.
Mr. Stewart.
Aye.
8 ayes. Okay. Ordinance, it passes. Ordinance 2025-106. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the transfer of vacant lot, land, real property from the city of Elyria to the Elyria Community Improvement Corporation and declare emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
I believe is this finance or community development?
This is finance?
It says Finance. on it.
Okay, just wanted to verify. Mr. President, I would ask that this ordinance be passed under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-107. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the city of Elyria to facilitate a funding request from Lorraine County Transit for purposes of the VIA Transportation Program in the city of Elyria in the amount of $250,000 and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion? Mr.
Question.
Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. President, I think this is directed towards Mayor. We're putting this $250,000 in for this transportation. It's Lorraine County Transportation, and I think this is great. Is this now combined with the city of Lorraine? I know they were talking it. Could you explain a little bit about that, please?
Yes, through you, Mr. President, we are not combined with Lorraine. We will continue to provide transportation by way of the VIA program in the city of Elyria for city of Elyria residents. However, there will be there's been a transfer station where they will take them to the border of Elyria and Lorraine, drop them off, and they can carry on. We are working with the college to make the college that meeting point for a multitude of reasons, including are open. They have food, they have restrooms while they wait for that transfer. But we are a separate entity from Lorraine, but both Lorraine and Elyria will continue this program.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-108. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and accept, if offered, the 2025 Urban Forestry Grant for the Parks and Recreation Department and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-109. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application for the Norfolk Southern Corporate Giving Thriving Communities Grant Program and accept, if offered, the Thriving Communities Grant for the Parks and Recreation Department and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-110. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with B&B Wrecking and Excavating, Inc., an Ohio corporation for the emergency demolition of 130 Cedar Street, Elyria, Ohio, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I would ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency without the benefit of a committee report.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
I think we have Farkas. Oh, come on.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying. I don't think
Order.
Mr. Farkas is.
Order.
Mr. Farkas, are you?
I was
commenting on
up here
this?
as requested from previously. Mr. Oswald had a question, and it
Yes.
was stayed until this
Okay.
moment.
Through you, Mr. President, just point of order, Councilwoman Serwork also had her hand raised prior to the question being called.
I'll wait, give the floor to Mr.
Go ahead,
Farkas.
Mr. Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. This particular site, we investigated via an inspection warrant. The property is quite large. It consists of 3 separate units. It looks like a single-family home from the front. It is basically positioned in such a precarious location. It is located literally on the edge overlooking the river. You could technically go fishing out of the window. The home is in very close proximity to adjacent neighbors. The property lines are very confined. The complexities of this demo are further compounded by the structural's interior degradation. The attic floor, second floor, and first floor have imploded inward towards the basement. This home is the old balloon frame construction and is completely dependent on the integral connections of the floors to the walls. The south wall has 0 support. From the photos, when we went in there and saw this, we immediately left the site because it was so dangerous. The asbestos testing was done at a minimal evasive as we can to keep the person safe. We did find some asbestos in the structure, but in order to abate that, it would put people in peril. To abate it, because you have an unsafe structure. The floors are leaning inward. It is not safe to be inside. We did have the structure sent out for some bids. B&B Wrecking was on the list, as they're quite known for their work. They came back with this number, and it has to be treated as what's called a hot load, as everything is contaminated with asbestos. So we do like to have this structure come down immediately. It is precarious. I cannot stress that enough.
Mr. Oswald? Oh, sorry, Mr. Worker, then Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, through you. Mr. Farkas, is this the yellow house or the three-story one?
This is the gray home. The three-story.
In the middle?
It's
of
in the
those-
middle.
In the middle?
Yes.
And through you, is there a way to recoup these costs? We're going to send this over to the tax duplicate, or think about that?
I cannot answer that. I don't know.
Law Director Deere, do you want to weigh in on it?
Through you, Mr. President, the ownership resides out of state. However, they do own, as of this time, several properties. We would seek to, yes, the tax duplicate, but also we would seek to file liens against all the properties that they presently own by way of a certificate of judgment.
Through you, one additional question. Is the same owner own all three in a row there?
Mr. Chair, through you, per our research, he owns the structure to the left, if you're looking at the home. The structure to the right, I don't believe he owns that one.
Thank you.
Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President, so I know we're going to lien or something. How are we paying for it right now? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. President, that will have to come from the general fund.
Okay,
Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. President, I just want to give kudos to Mr. Farkas and Safety Service Director for this. This project has been in my lap since I first got next to all y'all up here. And like he said, this is a very dangerous home. We gotta get it gone. So I'm very happy that we are at this point to get this, accomplished. Very dangerous home. So worrying about cost, I'm worrying about safety. Thank you.
Due to the complexity of what we're talking about for the demolition, how is this going to impact either home on either side? I mean, as far as liability costs for that, potentially.
Mr. President, we do have a contract signed. I was on vacation when that contract, I'll have to defer to Mr. Pianowski as he ran with that as I was gone. And I do believe that is incorporated into the contract, that the responsibilities on them.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, we did ask the Law Director's Office to create a contract for demolitions going forward, and the B&B Wrecking has already signed that contract, and if approved here tonight, the mayor could sign it, and they've told me they believe they can be there next week to get this taken down.
Very good. Mr. Schneider?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Director, Mr. Farkas. Is the asbestos abatement actually happening before the demo? Are they able, I know you had said that they weren't able to do it, but doesn't the asbestos have to be abated before they can demo the property?
Mr. Chair, through you, in a normal situation where a home can be properly abated, a crew comes in and removes the hazardous material and takes it to an approved dumping site. In this situation, that cannot be accomplished due to the hazards, so the entire structure has to be treated as contaminated.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President. So, do we know anything about this company? Because I think we've had somebody tear down a building in downtown Elyria, and then they had a subcontractor come in, and there were some issues when they were tearing it down. Do we know much about this company that they're going to do the work?
Mr. Chair, through you, I can speak to the fact that they have been registered for many years. We have had no complaints on history, and per the permit records, they have called for demolition processes regularly. Those are all good signs.
Mayor Rubaker?
Yes, through you, Mr. President, they were the ones who took down the old Uncle Vic's building.
Safety Service Director Pianowski?
Thank you. Just real quickly, one of the reasons why we had specific conversations with them is that they have some equipment that reaches a little bit taller than the normal demo companies because they do so much demo work and they've been in existence since the 50s. And so I thought it would be best if somebody can get up on top and pull down instead of punching through the middle and hoping it falls the right way. So there was some thought to that. And they confirmed that they do in fact have longer booms on their equipment so that would be possible, and they agreed that that's probably the right approach. But we talked at length about the safest way to get this down, to get it down to the ground, due to the uniqueness of the structure.
Anybody else?
I'll call for the question.
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-111. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Sullivan Environmental Technologies, a DXP company for emergency repairs for wastewater pollution control, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency without the benefit of a committee report.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-112. Sponsored by Community Development, an ordinance amending Section 1131.02 codified ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, known as the zoning ordinance, to rezone certain real property located at 131 William Street, Elyria, Ohio, from a R-TH Residential 2 Household District and a H-1 Heavy Industrial District to a L-I Light Industrial District.
I declare this ordinance has had its first reading. Public hearing is scheduled for September 2nd, 2025 at 7 p.m.
That's all ordinances first reading?
Ordinance's second reading.
There are none?
Ordinance's third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on Monday, 7/14, 6 p.m. Joint CD Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 7/14, immediately following the CD. Utilities request the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Wednesday, 7/9, beginning at 6 p.m. Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 7/14, immediately following the joint. And we have a special council meeting. We request the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, and Law Director on Tuesday, 7/22, beginning at 6 p.m. And Strategic Planner requests the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, and Law Director on Tuesday, 7/22, immediately following the full council.
Very good. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
Mr. President, through you to the clerk,
Yes, Director.
I will need a certified copy of Ordinance 101, which is the tax budget. Thank you.
Back to item 17, the matter of the Wilkesville Housing Finance Agency project.
Thank you, through you, Mr. President. On or about June 18th of 2025, the Finch Group, doing business as TFG Housing Resources, sent certified mail to the clerk's office, care of Clerk of Council Latco, which they were required to do pursuant to Ohio law. They're required to notify the council that they are in the process of applying for development to be financed with tax credit equity. A copy of the letter was served on each of you. Basically, they are looking to convert from public housing to Section 8, and The Finch Group, in doing so, is going to, in their words, substantially rehabilitate the project over the next few years. It's the goal of LMHA to ensure that Wilkes-Barre is an attractive, safe, and affordable rental option for the community. The reason for the notice is because council has the ability to weigh in on this, and the clock starts running when the letter is sent out. And any objections or comments to the Ohio Housing Finance Authority regarding this proposed project and the impact on the community, any of those comments or objections to the project would have to be submitted in writing, signed by the majority of the voting members of council, and those would need to be submitted, again, within 30 days. So I would request that this matter would be set for joint community development and finance on July 14th. A committee report could be issued, and should the committee, joint committee wish to do so, we could then have that sent out, overnighted in order to be within that time frame and get those in the Ohio Housing Financing Agency down in Columbus.
Okay, so then we'll just go ahead and refer that to the joint committee for the 14th. With
Yes,
the-
please.
With the Brook Road, okay. No, for the 14th, the joint meeting. Mr. Worka?
Thank you, through you. Would it be appropriate for us to ask someone from LMHA to be here in case we have questions?
I think, through you, Mr. President, that would be entirely within your purview.
Through you, Mr. President, I think we should extend an invitation to them to, if they could be here in case we have any questions. I have one question, and perhaps Mr. Armstrong knows if the demolition of the old Crawford ice cream across the street has got anything to do with the renovation over there. No? Thank you.
Okay. So you guys will contact, the administration will contact LMHA? Is that or do you want to have council or the law director's office, or do we want the council clerk's office to contact
Through you,
them?
Mr. President, I think it would make sense to have the council clerks extend, and obviously due to the timing,
Sure.
probably email would be best.
Sure. So if the office can take care of that and copy all the council members on it, it'd be greatly appreciated. Any other miscellaneous and unfinished business?
Mr. President, seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. This meeting is adjourned.